I think the biggest lesson that I've learned through this whole thing is one, to never take anything for granted because it can really be taken away at any moment.
Not to take anything for granted and make the most of what you have.
Well, the biggest lesson that I've learned is probably that even though COVID has taken over a lot of things in our lives, it still hasn't totally taken over dance.
Going back to the beginning of this, nobody really knew, obviously, that any of this would happen and that we wouldn't be performing at the Weber Center. We all thought, when quarantine happened and our last rehearsal here, it was I think around 3 weeks till the show, so we were really in game mode and we were getting ready to perform.
It was really hard going from training and rehearsing this piece to not performing it, but now that we're performing it, it just makes me so grateful for this gift of art and being able to tell a story through movement without any words, and I'm just very, very thankful.
Mozart has a huge legacy as a composer, and the Requiem piece in general that he does. So I really enjoyed getting to be a part of that and dance to it. Mozart incorporated a lot of different levels behind his music, and Mr. Kennet, as he choreographed, used every single level in his choreography, and I found that so amazing and cool, and I don't know how he did it, but I really enjoyed getting to dance to it.
It's different than anything that I've seen before or anything I've done before, and it was kind of hard at first to get used to it, but now that I've done it and thinking about it, it was really cool how we would use the different harmonies and the different voices to learn our parts and our counts for the music.
The music is really a journey throughout. We perform the fugue twice in Mozart's Requiem. The first time it is called Requiem Aeternam, and Requiem translates to a mass for the repose of the souls of the dead, especially in the Roman Catholic Church. And we revisit the fugue again at the ending of the ballet, 45 minutes later. And this time it is called Lux Aeterna, which translates to eternal light. So throughout the entire ballet, we are kind of going on a journey of the changing of the emotions, and yeah.
Parts that we couldn't film, we can't be touching or holding hands. One part specifically, which was a little sad for me, we have this part where we hug and then we have a partner, and we can't hug each other, obviously. And another big part is the body pile,
which is basically we're all laying on top of each other in the middle of the stage in quite literally a body pile. And it's kind of like a rite of passage that the younger kids are on the bottom of the pile. And like that's just kind of a thing. And another part of the ballet is called Lacrimosa that I really love because it's really emotional and it means a lot to me.
Lacrimosa is the last piece that Mozart ever wrote, and he actually passed away after writing only the first 8 bars. And his students came together and not only finished Lacrimosa, but finished the entire Requiem. And it's actually really cool because if you read the translation of Lacrimosa, it is a prayer for our salvation on Judgment Day, and that is something we can all remember Mozart for.
most memorable part about Requiem for me is being on stage as long as I was. I've been in the Ballet lacrosse program for many years, and I've never been on stage for this long, so that was definitely most memorable.
Well, since I also study piano, I have learned some of the pieces from Mozart's Requiem by myself, and it really helped me feel the emotion and connect to the music more when I dance.
I love to dance, and it's such a passionate thing for me. So just to be able to dance Requiem and being able to touch so many people's heart was just a fill of joy to me.
One thing that has been really memorable to me is the legacy behind Requiem. This is our third time performing it. This is my first time performing it. But the legacy is so important and big, and you can really feel that energy throughout the ballet.
Something that I would say was really memorable in doing Requiem this time was getting to do it the whole time with my younger sister Gretchen, because in quarantine, even though we were all doing it alone, I still got to do it with her the entire time. We did it in our home studio, and it was just so much fun to get to go through that entire process having her there with me.
First time I did Requiem, it was very different because the choreography is very different from what I've ever done before. It was very new to me, and we had to take from the original Portland video that had 12 dancers, and we had 22, and so we had to learn from the video the choreography and work all the formations to our size cast. And the second year, we learned again from our video instead, and so that was a little bit easier of a process because we had the same amount of people and everyone had a person that they learned from. And then the third year, this year, it's been different because we got to go back to the original video and take what was already there and then like enhance that more for like the choreography that we've already done. And so that was cool to go back and look at the original again. And also with having rehearsals over Zoom, that's been very different because it's such a like involving ballet with everyone. We're touching each other, weaving in and out. We're on stage the whole time. And so doing it on our own has been really different and weird not having people around. But in the end, when we got to come back together and do this, it's like been really nice to just have that energy back. So
I've been in Requiem 3 times now. The first time we performed it was in March of 2016. And at that time, that was about 2 months after Mr. Kennet had passed away. So going into that first performance of Requiem, that was kind of a big turning point for Ballet La Crosse and the cast of dancers because this was our first time doing a production without him with us. And, you know, he wasn't going to be there in the studio setting the choreography on us. He wasn't going to be on stage in the wings giving us guidance and words of wisdom like we had been so used to. And for this performance of Requiem, now it was up to us and the other Ballet La Crosse staff to use everything that he had taught us so that we can put this piece to the stage and do it to the best of our ability. And so then the following year, which was our second year of Requiem, it was kind of the same cast of dancers. Some things were changed, but for the most part, it was pretty similar. And so going off of that first year, we kind of had to dig down deeper and be like, so we did it once, how can we go deeper and do it better and just be more emotional? And so now going into the third year, it's obviously nothing like any of us expected or wanted it to be, but I've been really grateful, especially this week, for Requiem because, you know, being here today in a costume with hair and makeup done, this is the first time in a really long time that I felt some sort of normalcy in being a dancer because as dancers and performers, this is everything we train for, is to perform. And this is the first time that I've been able to perform in a really long time.
I guess when I first learned that I was going to be doing it, I was really scared because
It's a long solo, and everyone remembers it, and everyone is kind of sitting around you when you perform it. Well, most of the time. There's a big group of people sitting around you when I do it. And so it seemed like a lot to live up to, especially because there were people who were in the ballet before when she was in it. And going into rehearsals with like Miss Larissa, it was just intimidating, but she was able to help me and taught it to me and just really encouraged me, and so that was great.
Through learning on Zoom, I've learned to be really self-reliant and know the counts and the choreography really well without watching other people.
I had to learn a lot of the timing by myself and knowing the choreography all by myself without looking at anyone. And at the beginning it was kind of hard and I messed up quite a lot, but then during the end I was just knew it completely, and I knew it a lot better than before we went on Zoom.
I had to learn how to still rehearse at home over Zoom, and I've learned to really just know my choreography from more of the music other than relying on other people for my cues, because you never know when someone might forget or mess up, and you can't depend on other people to always be your cue. You need to know it off of the music. And in doing it over Zoom, I've really learned that you cannot depend on other people for your cues. You just need to know it yourself.
The Zoom rehearsals really forced me to know the music and get the music in me even more. And I was also able to rehearse with my sister at home, which was really nice. And now we're back here and we're able to tie up all the loose ends of my year before I go off to college next week.
My favorite part about Requiem was the whole thing was so unique. Like, the music was super different from anything I've ever heard, and that made the movement so much different, and it was super fun to perform.
I just liked how it started, and it just starts like really simple, but it's still really powerful, and then it builds up as it keeps going.
The rehearsals, definitely, especially when they were like with everybody in it. And probably the Rex rehearsals most of all, and the Song Twos rehearsals, because we would try and figure out what the Latin sounded like in English and have like no correct translation. But we came up with like Requiem's Picnic, so there's a part where it says like, bring me some cheese, and it's talking about string beans. And so it just made everything fun. And everyone was in on it, and Miss Alex was in on it, and so it just brought so much joy to the rehearsals.
Was probably the body pile, because we all just gotta lay on top of each other, and we were all like sweaty and hot, and it was just, we all would start laughing, but we had to be still. So I'm kind of sad we didn't get to do that part like after COVID, but it was still really fun before.
My favorite part about Requiem was how long we got to stay on stage. A bunch of different ballets, you have specific roles that you get assigned to. But during Requiem, we just got to do so many different roles, and it was such a great opportunity to dance.
I really enjoyed how it combined ballet and contemporary movements throughout the ballet. I thought that was really cool.
favorite part, this is really hard because I love it all. Probably my favorite part is just every year. I've never done a ballet like this. And so every year that we've done it, it's like finding that sense of home, and like just everyone's energy is just so incredibly strong when we're all together on the stage. There's really nothing like it. And that's probably just my favorite part. Just like, I can't really explain. It's just, I don't know, but I love like the rehearsal process of it, learning it. There's so many intricate parts. And I love like working on it. There's so many details, and just dancing with everyone is just the best. So, yeah.